He's like way up there in the player development side of things. He left us, as you know, to go to the front of the bench for the Lakers. So great step up for him, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get these guys moving on and chasing their own dreams a little bit, right?
So in the last panel, Sherman Hamilton was talking about the relationship he had with you and the guys that he came up with, and you were playing basketball every summer together. And by the way, I Googled 47 years old, Sherman Hamilton. That's insane to me. He looks amazing. So my question is, so
he can play too.
Sorry?
He can still play too.
I bet. I'm sure. I know a big part of sort of the success of Canada basketball is the ability of these young Canadian high school kids to go to prep schools in America and to shine there. And I wondered, does that take away anything from the relationship to building Team Canada culture? Is there anything to that? And if you think there might be something, how do we go about sort of making sure they feel connected to, the guys their age and their cohort and feel connected to the program?
It's a great question. I think that there was a time when that did happen. Sometimes a kid left here at 15 years old, and we didn't see him until he was starring on the NCAA stage. It's very difficult to start building a relationship at that point. What we have seen, one, is that basketball in our country has grown tremendously, and now we have very, very strong leagues here. There isn't a mass exodus now. The majority of our kids do not need to leave. They can accomplish their goals right here at home. So I think that's great. It's great for our game, right? It's great for our game. And then, the second thing is, to your point, we identified that. And so back in 2012, one of the things that we did is we started a junior academy. And so we find these kids when they're 11, 12, 13 years old, 7th and 8th grade, and we pull them away from their parents for a weekend, and we get them in training best on best, right? And so we are now a part of their development. We're a part of their growth, right? And so
they have those relationships with those other kids
that they
played against when they're 12 years old.
Absolutely, right? And so by the time they get to the U16 team or the U17 or U18, they're recruiting each other now, right? Like, what do you mean you're not coming? What do you mean? We've been dreaming about this since we were 12, right? They start to recruit even one another. And then I think another part that Canada basketball has been great at is giving us a budget, so that we can actually get out there and recruit, build those relationships, because there still will be kids that do go down to the States. And so we're down there. We're in their school environment. We're with their coaches. We're looking at them face to face and trying to figure out what those kids need and try to figure out how we can help them. So we really try to surround them. I can think about, some of the players that we've had through the years. Sometimes I was the only one from Canada in the arena to support the kid, in the tunnel, in the bowels of the arena, right? He's scared, he doesn't know what he's going on. Canada basketball's there, right, to support them, to usher them through. Sometimes you're helping them with media, right? Sometimes they're scared, they don't want to go back out. You're there, you're helping them, you're supporting them, you're growing. And usually when it comes time to come back to the national team,
you'll remember those things. Yeah.
They usually remember those things because it's authentic, it's real support and service for the kids.
Max, as you mentioned, the team is trying to cultivate a culture that will continue throughout however long Team Canada will continue to play basketball, especially here in the World Cup. Team is going to go to Australia, and then they're going to go to China. I know you wanted to relay some advice for Coach Nurse as they take these long voyages.
This was your idea. You just want to know what songs you're going to be singing to them on the long plane ride.
Well,
Are you bringing your guitar?
100%. It was part of the deal. I said I'm not taking the job unless I get to bring the guitar.
It's in the contract.
It's in the contract.
There's a guitar provision in there.
It's in there.
Yeah.
It's in there. Hopefully I'll be able to play it when I get back.
What are you most excited about as you guys do travel? Is there anything that you will take the team to do that's not, obviously everything's going to be basketball related, but there's a whole thing, there's a bunch of activities you could do outside of just playing the sport of basketball. And as you guys answer that question, there is another video that I wanted to show you, Coach Nurse. As you travel throughout the world and you play these games, I imagine you'll go through a series of emotions. But first, please let us know what you plan to do outside of the basketball-related activities while you guys take these travels around the world.
I think that, before even getting to activities, I think the best times that you can remember playing is traveling with each other, you know? The long plane rides, the time in the, you know what I mean, in the airport while you're waiting for the next, you know, the next flight. Those are the times that you remember, you know, just being with each other, and sometimes the difficulty of it, you know, is something that you laugh your way through. It's almost like a badge of honor that we got through that. It's something that really pulls you together. There's nothing like a group, you know, going on a trip like that together, coming together. It's why coaches always, they want to take their guys away from the city that they're in, right, so they can group them together and do that. I think you feel that on the national team as well. I think sometimes it's hard just to kind of plan out something, you know. Sometimes, you know, the coach, you know, he's got to feel it. He's got to feel his team. And, you know, as you go along, we just try to make sure that we have enough money budgeted so that when Nick says, hey, I want to take my team here, I want to do this with them, right, we're forthcoming with the ability to help him to do that.
The Greg Popovich wine budget. Is it in there? Glenn?
That's a question for Glenn.
Yeah.
No, well, we don't.
Drop $10,000 on a bottle of wine.
Well, there's these new wines that come in cans that I think are supposed to be really good. So, yeah, I think we might have some of those.
Coach, as you take this team on this journey, you're going to go through a wave of emotions. I know everybody who's watching on CBC Sports and here tonight can remember some of the wave of emotions that you expressed throughout very fun NBA title run. So I think we'll reflect on that for a quick moment, as I'm sure we'll probably see new iterations of that coming up in the next coming weeks or so.
Okay.
I think
That
it'll
it?
be coming
That
up
was quick.
behind us. I think it's coming up behind us, like the performer video. There we go. Do you remember what happened in this one right here, Coach Nurse?
That's pretty good for your FIBA, don't you think? No, that's a good FIBA one. I'll take that with me. Is that it?
I think there was more. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
That's a good one.
That one I remember. I can't forget that one.
It was a block charge.
3-second call. 3-second call on Fred dribbling around in the lane. Everybody.
This one,
Looks like all the same game.
same ref.
He looks like he's ready for FIBA.
There you go.
Yeah, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Soft hands. Same game.
Yeah, same. I think that'll conclude that. But with your experience, though, in international basketball, Coach Nurse, you're going to have to deal with a lot of rules that aren't obviously in the NBA. How do you plan to manage that, as refereeing is going to be different in this setting?
Well, one of the things that is different is the refereeing crews are from all over the world, and most of them, they probably speak English, but most of them pretend that they don't. So there's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of dialogue going on back and forth. So you learn that pretty quick, and you can save a lot of words, and that's why the actions become a little bit more demonstrative, a little bit. I don't know, what was the other question?
I think that was
That
pretty
was
much
it, yeah. I mean, there's certainly, changes in the game, 40 minutes, more physicality, a lot more holding, grabbing, legal screens. Teams really make you pay for mistakes. You turn it over, and they're usually paying for a 3-ball at the other end, so there's premium on controlling the basketball. But mostly is what I've seen in national team play is these guys are here and they're playing their guts out for their countries. And man, you better be ready to play your guts out right along with them.
Before we go to some questions in the audience, for you two guys here in the middle, what are your impressions of the pool that Canada's in? Obviously, it's going to be Australia, Lithuania, and Senegal. What are your impressions of the teams and the challenge that you face in that pool?
I think it's a strong pool, a very strong pool. And I think that, it's one of the reasons why you want to go out and get, the type of coaches that we were able to bring in, right? Because it's, a part of it obviously is the talent that you have, but another part of it is how are you going to dissect the other team? What are you going to take away from them, right? How are you going to accentuate what you do well and hide what you don't do well, and all those kinds of things. So, I think our first focus right now is not as much on them. I think our first focus right now is on us, right? And how we're going to build what we do to pack the strongest punch, right? And we're going to have to play against them, but they're going to have to play against us, as well, right? So I think that's our focus now. And we've got all this stuff on the other teams, and we'll be getting into that more and more as we go along.
All right, I think we're going to open up some questions here in the audience. Sammy's down here right here with the microphone. So if you have a question, feel free to say your name and give us your question.
Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen. First off, thank you so much for representing our country and helping us win a chip. My name is Chrissy. My question is, I know recently, Coach Nurse, you visited Bill Belichick and the Patriots, and I also saw that a lot of your plays are named after CFL teams, and that you like to go to the stadium and watch those games, and you're really inspired by that. So my question is, what are some other sources of inspiration that you have from outside of sports and outside of basketball in particular that you incorporate into your coaching style and your leadership style?
Okay, most of those have been probably documented a little bit, but there's a couple things like the guitar thing's funny and all that kind of stuff, but I'm learning both guitar and the piano on purpose a little bit because I really think that being creative in this day and age is something you got to be in coaching, right? I just don't want to go out there and do the same things. That's why you've probably saw some things you didn't see this year, like the Boxing One Revival Tour, right? I'm gonna get some T-shirts. 2019 Boxing One Revival
You
Tour.
showed them.
So I think that, and I could be making this up, right? But I believe it, so it works for me. That studying the music for me opens up a creative side of me, and things come to me when I least expect them, or I don't know where they come from. I'll give you a really personal example. We were the night before Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I was in the hospital having a little baby boy, and I was asleep, dead asleep on the most uncomfortable recliner in the world, dead asleep, and snapped out of it at 4 a.m. and said, they're gonna put Lopez on Siakam tomorrow. And I was like, where the hell did that come from? And it was, they did. They came out and they started and they moved Lopez to Siakam. So I'm giving that credit to the music, right? My mind's open and it's receptive to stuff. And then I go just cross all sports. I love football. The Belichick, I went to watch the Patriots practice the other day, and Belichick was unbelievably giving of his time and insightful. Really, some really amazingly cool things they were doing. But my biggest takeaway from the thing was, no surprise, was Tom Brady. He comes down first for practice. He practices his butt off. He does every rep. It's July, middle of July. He's 42 years old. He's coaching every guy on the field. He's running every play. He turned his back for 2 seconds because something was wrong with his hands, and some guy intercepted a pass from the backup quarterback, and there's like 10,000 fans there watching too. Place goes crazy. He turned around like he just missed the biggest play of the year, in a 100th play of practice in July, and it was just so in tune, acting like if he didn't have a good day that day, they had no chance of winning the Super Bowl this year. And that was just transcending all over the field. And I got on a plane right from practice, flew to LA. We had 16 of our players in LA for workouts. The first thing I told them was I know we're in LA and it's late July and we don't play for real till April, May, or June, but today we're taking a step forward. I gave the same little speech to the Canadian guys today. I need, tonight, this is our second practice. It's really hot in the gym today. I don't know, something's wrong, but really hot. And I said, I need 75 minutes of supreme concentration from you. That's it. That's your job today, because your job is to get better. Your job puts food on the table for your family, right? So here's a chance for us all to collectively get a little bit better. And those are the things I kind of take away from some of that stuff. That was a really long answer to a really good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you a reporter? She came with the notepad and everything. You were
Awesome.
That was a great question. Before we go to the next one, that did bring me to, you talked about the dedication that you saw from Tom Brady. Glenn, could you speak to the dedication that you've seen from Corey Joseph, competition after competition, playing for Team Canada, and what that means to you and the program in general?
Well, it means everything. I mean, I think a team's only as good as its locker room, and we start with a Corey Joseph or a Kelly Olynyk or a Melvin Ejim or the Scrub Brothers. These guys have been there, and to go against the tide, let's say, to say I'm going to play for my national team, even though it seems like the cool thing not to play for your national team anymore, speaks volumes for his character, and we're just happy to have him as part of our team. But I do have a question for Max. When you're thinking of music, do you have any plays for Nick that you might want to?
Yeah, in the middle of the set, I go, boxing one, boxing one.
Max has got a coaching career, by the way. I'm telling you right now. When I was walking on stage the other day, I was the most nervous I ever been in my life, and he coached me right into it. Well, coached me very well. Let's put it that way.
Awesome. Another question over here.
Hi, my name is Jonas. Just want to ask, what was going through your mind when the final buzzer of Game 6 against the Warriors went off and you guys won the championship?
What was going through my mind? Well, it was kind of a quirky ending, right? Because with 0.9 seconds to go, there was a replay, and I had to figure out whose ball it was and all that stuff. So it was a lot of time, and everybody was up and kind of jumping around, and I grabbed my assistant, Nate Bjork, and I said, let's sit down. Let's sit down and enjoy this here a little bit. It's gonna take a little while, but let's sit down and relax. Only because we did the same thing. We were together when we won a D-League championship in Iowa, now the G League. And the same thing, the place was going crazy. Everybody was jumping around, and I said, let's sit down and enjoy it. But when it went off, your thoughts go to your family first. I was like, I'm going to go quickly shake Coach Kerr's hand and congratulate him for a great series, and then I'm going to wheel around and try to find my family, and it's pretty wild after that. Everything's pretty wild after that. No feeling like it, though, man. No feeling like it.
Coach, you were able to live that moment, and throughout the course of the season when we had certain Raptors on the podcast, Jeremy Lin said part of his process was visualizing winning, what it feels like. Rowan, for you, somebody who's played for Team Canada, have you started to visualize what it looks like for this current version of the team to have success in China and particularly qualify, if not get a gold medal? Have you started to visualize that?
You know what, I think you always have to be doing that, right? I think you're doing that even as you're trying to put the team together. you're trying to think about what is it going to take for us to win? What do we need to look like for us to win? Not just, which player, but, what attributes do we need? Like we need a toughness, a grittiness. We need guys that can make shots. We need guys that are going to be willing to set the screen and maybe never get a shot. Just, mucking it up onto the boards to help the team, right? You're thinking about all those things. And, I think that, we were able to win a world championship, our first ever world championship for our country in 2017, with our youth team. And it's a completely different level, obviously. But winning is winning, right? And within it, sacrifice comes in there, right? Like, what are you willing to do, for the team? And so, we talked about toughness. That's one thing, that Nick and I talked about, quite a bit early on. And so, yeah, there's a number of things you're looking at for sure, always. And then, yes, there's an exercise, right? There is a visualization, actual exercise that you do as you have your team and you're envisioning standing on the podium, right? I can remember being like 17 years old, 18, playing on the national team. I was first introduced to this, It's like, visualize? Come on, let's get the ball, man. Let's go. Like, visualize? Like, I close my eyes? Like, what? But you wanted to win so badly, and it was your country. And so at some point you say, you know what, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. Whatever this man tells me to do, I'm going to do it if it's going to help our country, And so you close your eyes, you start thinking about yourself on the podium, getting the gold medal with yourself there and the United States down there, right? You're thinking about all these things. And every now and again, it definitely does come true.
We'll get that question, the next one coming up. I can't see you.
I'm over here, Harrison, on this side over here. Question just down here.
All right, guys. Hey, my name is Jonathan, a long-time basketball fan since I was in elementary school. Question actually for all of you on the panel. So you've all come here today to be able to share your experiences with us, which we greatly appreciate. I'm just curious, what would be your most Canadian experience that made you think, wow, like I'm really proud to be here? And I know there's a Raptors championship that we all have experienced, so you can use that if you can't think of anything else, but preferably something from your own experience. And I know each of you have had something to be able to share with us, hopefully.
Well, for me, obviously I played for Canada for many years, but there's one particular year that really, the Olympics is an amazing thing, obviously, right? When you walk into the stadium and there's 100,000 people screaming and, you know, you're in front of your flag's in front of you, that's an amazing feeling, for sure. But I think qualifying for the Olympics, getting there in 1999 is one of the, is probably my number one moment, just in terms of feeling Canadian. And I can set the scene for you. We're in Puerto Rico, San Juan, and, you know, we're going down the street, and, you know, it's like a Sunday, right? There's nobody's working, right? We've got a motorcade taking us, and people are parking in the street, right? To mess us up, right? To get us off our routine, get us to the gym late, you know? You get out of the bus and they're throwing things, you know what I mean? These guys have shields, and we're like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is going on? And then, you know, you say, okay, let's just get inside. You get inside, and now it's like a crescendo of boos. You know, Canada, boo. You know, you guys aren't any good. You finally get in the locker room. They're banging on the door. Canada, you lose. You know, it was like, wow, you know? And somehow we went in there, and obviously led by Steve Nash, who was absolutely phenomenal in that game. You know, just led us to victory, you know? And so just being able to kind of overcome a whole nation, right, with basically 20 Canadians, was probably the, you know, one of the greatest moments for me in feeling Canadian.
My turn. So, my turn. I came to Canada in 1994 to help start up the Raptors, and long time ago. And it was the first game of the Raptors against the Philadelphia 76ers in 1995, and it happened in November, about 3 days after the Quebec referendum, where, you know, Canada barely hung together with less than 1% of the vote. You know, I remember the national anthem, and the Bare Naked Ladies sang the national anthem, and when they switched to the French lyrics in the middle of it, the crowd just erupted. And to feel the passion of all those folks in there, that their country was still together, and how important that was to them, even though I didn't quite understand what was going on with Quebec. It really meant a lot to me and helped me understand a lot about Canada and appreciate the passion that people have for their country.
Mine are, I got a couple, but first of all, both my sons are born here in Toronto, so they're Canadian passport holders. I'm still going to be coaching the Canadian team in 2040, and they're going to be starting and taking all the shots. Get pretty old by then, but anyway. But I'll share one similar to Glen's, and I don't know if I've even told people this that much, a couple times, but we had game one of the NBA Finals here, and the national anthem came on, and that place erupted. And I'm not kidding you, I was looking down at Kerr and Draymond and those guys, and they were like, what in the hell have we gotten ourselves in? I'm not kidding you. It sent them, they knew they had their hands really full. And that wasn't just because of our coaching staff and our players. And turned out they did have their hands full. So thank you everybody.
The Warriors had their hands full, and it turned out into a parade. And getting back to the visualization part of this, Glen, if Team Canada goes on to, let's say, win a gold medal, visualize for us, where does the parade happen?
Well, we've learned a lot from the last parade. So I'll defer to Nick and his staff in terms of how to put together a parade. But no, it would be great. I think you know, it would be a tremendous event for us to win, and we probably would have a little bit shorter parade, and maybe I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good. Everybody asked me what it was like playing with the Arkells, and I said it was just like the parade, except for 5 hours shorter. Same enthusiasm. It's a long one. It was worth it though, man. Was it good? I was tired. I was more tired after the parade. I was like, get me back to the pressure of the finals.
It was special. Sammy, next question.
Right over here.
Hi there, Nick. My name is David. A question I want to ask you is, who inspired you to be a coach?
It's a really good question. Probably my college coach, I guess, maybe my high school coach. I wasn't really going to coach, went to college and was a player, playing at the University of Northern Iowa. I was in the accounting program there, in the business school. And as I got to my senior year, I was like, well, I'm not good enough to play in the NBA. My basketball career's coming to an end, and I'd kind of poured my whole life into it and guts into it. And I was like, I don't really want to walk away from basketball just yet. So I thought I would try to coach. Went and knocked on Coach Eldon Miller's door and said, hey, I don't want to account for anything. I want to be a basketball coach. And he said, yeah, join me as an assistant. And then we were off on a wild path and journey of coaching all over the world. And like I said, here we go. But able to stay employed as a basketball coach all those years, and it wasn't always easy, but here we are.
Actually, I have a question that goes back to the last question. You mentioned how, the OCAN is happening, and you're looking down. You can see it in their eyes, like, all right, we're in for it. But you just told the story about going down to Puerto Rico and people banging on your door. Like, I'm always curious, and you've all played in really high-level basketball, like how much, because in my mind, the fans make all the difference. But how much does it actually play into it? Or is it a team-by-team situation? Or do you lean on certain guys on the team to calm everybody else down? Like, describe that and how it works. Or is it situational depending on the team you're on?
I think that, it's always situational, I think. I think that the crowd, for me, just as a Canadian going into that, for me it was about the strength of our nation, right? Being able to overcome a hostile environment in another nation. That for me was,
And Nash was on the team too?
Nash was the maestro on that team, as he always is. And I think that was kind of what really impacted me, kind of inspired me.
Settled everybody
coming
too.
in. It was amazing. But, I also think, playing at home, as Nick is sharing, with the wind behind you, with your nation screaming, I mean, that is, I've played in Canada, with the crowd screaming. You can't feel anything, You're like, you don't feel anything, right? It's like they're carrying you through the game, right? And I'm sure you felt that at times, Nick, right? They just carry you through the game. I don't know exactly how to articulate that, but it's a powerful thing, when your country's with you and you can feel it all through the arena.
For me, it was weird, right? I was on purpose trying to really insulate myself from everything. I didn't turn my TV on for 2 months, and I don't go online. I wasn't reading it. I just don't want any emotion of somebody telling me how great I am or how crap I am. I just didn't want to deal with that. But I could sense all this craziness going on all over the country, right? And it was like I really wanted to come early and walk out to Jurassic Park and experience it. But I just kind of let it sit there, but you could sense it, and it was, I don't know, everybody you knew. And I said, I know it affected the team we played, but in our job, or my job, when the ball goes up, there's only about 2 rows I can even comprehend. I don't hear any of the music, anything that's going on. You're so locked into your job, and I think you have to be, but I tell you, that was a big impact, and it was, man, I couldn't wait to get it over with because I wanted to get out there and see all over the country, and I've certainly experienced a lot of it since we've won it.
Glenn, can we get Jurassic Parks around the country during FIBA World Cup? Can we make that happen?
That would be good. Now, it'll be at 3:30 a.m. though, so it'll
perfect. Fit right in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yep, right here behind the pole.
Hey, this question's for a bit further out. It was mentioned earlier how archaic FIBA's ranking system is. I think we're 23rd. That being said, how foreseeable do you see Canada being a top 3, even top 2 ranked men's program, given how popular the sport is in the country? And what will it take to get there? How far do you envision that being realized? 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah, I think the first thing, if you want to see the rankings go up, is you have to win. I think that's just the short, of it. The rankings are not always accurate. I don't believe they're always accurate. There's this antiquated, kind of point system that you work through. However, when you place high at a World Cup, or you win, or you place high at an Olympics, and you're kind of consistently doing it, over time your ranking, will go up. So, one win, of a gold medal doesn't move you up from 23rd to first. It takes time. And, we've seen that in youth ages. We went from number 6 to number 2, right, over time. And so, I believe that hopefully we're now kind of coming into our own. It's taken us some time to build up our system, to have enough players so that if you miss, 1 or 2 players here and there, you still have a strong enough team to get out there and compete and be able to perform consistently. And so, as we do that, you'll see our rankings rise.
I think we do have time for one more question. Sam, you got one?
Nick, this question's for you. Gerald is my name. I just want to know, last year, obviously, it was championship or bust for the Raptors. This year, what would your expectations be, or what would you deem to be a successful season for us?
I mean, I'm getting up out of bed every day thinking about winning it again. I mean, there's several paths to the title, I think, and we took one last year. We're going to have to take a little different one this year. But, the thing that I like to say is we're the first team to win it without a lottery pick on our roster, right? We didn't have to tank for years to get here. There's some other cool stat, but I also believe that like the great player, I got to think about this for a minute. The great players, right? The difference between the great ones and the really, really good ones, I think the line's getting thinner all the time, right? And I think, how do you say it? How do I say, well, when I was kind of cutting my teeth in coaching, I was following the Bulls in the 90s. It was Jordan. Before that, it was, Magic versus Larry. And there's a couple other guys in there, right? Kobe in the 2000s and Hakeem Olajuwon sprinkled in there for a couple years. And now you sit here and you say, okay, they got AD and LeBron, and then they got Kawhi and Paul George, and they got Dame and CJ. I've already given you 6. I just covered like 30 years and gave you 5. We got Kyrie and KD. We got Russell and James. I just think that, there's all these pairings, and I'm not so sure that team basketball with really, really good players at each position isn't about ready to overtake having the one superstar guy that does it all the time. That's what I feel. I love coaching that style. I think we've got like really high-end guys at every spot going 8 or 9 deep. Got to find maybe 1 or 2 more, develop some guys. We've already proved we can develop some young guys into bigger roles, and that's what success looks for me like this year.
Earlier on, Rowan, and you guys answered you answered the question about what it means to have fans cheering for you and how that can motivate you going forward in any competition, and obviously just in any walk of life. As we speak to the fans around the country through CBC Sports and the fans that are here today, if you had one message to give to the people that are watching, as on the heels of playing on Wednesday, as Team Canada starts their journey to this FIBA World Cup, what message would you give them? And then I would like for Glenn and then Nick to follow. What message would you give the fans?
Very simple. Believe in and support your country.
Ditto. Yeah, no, I think that's...
You done? Okay. My thing is this. I think that I know you guys are going to support this team, right? I tell people all the time that support that is here is unbelievable. I've got a little bit of patience with this team. I'm going to do, as you guys know, I'm going to tinker around a little bit. I'm going to try lots of combinations. I'm not going to be worried about one bad half or one bad quarter. I'm not going to be doing cartwheels over one great half or one great quarter. What we are going to do is get to work every day and learn as much as we can the next day to get a little bit better, throw out the things that aren't working, and get ourselves in peak mental and physical state by the time that ball goes up for the games we're going to treat them like playoff games in China. They're must win, but it'll be a building process till we get there. And we love all your support, man. We need it. We need it.
Support can come from the fans. Support can come from music. Max, you're free. You got some time on you?
Yeah, I'll do the halftime show or whatever. Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it, guys. I want to thank you again for coming out, CBC Sports, for being with us. It's been a great time. Best of luck going forward. You guys enjoy. Thank you to CBC Sports, the Rec Room, for having us here tonight. Any last messages, guys? I think that's pretty much it. There's a bunch of stuff out here that you guys can have. Sam, I think you're going to give them the details.
Yeah. We're going to do some giveaways in a bit. Thank you for this amazing panel. So this is what we do for every Hoop Talks, though. We do a quick sort of kind of photo of the last panel here. So if we can just invite everyone here who was on this last panel, we'll do a quick photo. If everyone just kind of wants to move back a little bit so we can see you guys in the front, we're going to look this way where our lovely photographer, Matt, is going to be up here. And I want everyone, a lot of enthusiasm from the crowd. I know you guys have had it all night, all right? So Matt's going to get up here. We can all get, step a little bit back. Yeah, towards the fans, towards the crowd, towards the crowd. Can we get the house lights up as well, please? Thank you. Okay, yeah, all right. Okay, we're good, everyone. Let's cheer loud. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. All right. That was awesome, wasn't it? That was fantastic. Give a round of applause. Canada basketball. I cannot wait for this upcoming tournament. It's going to be awesome. All right, so we're going to get you guys out of here. But first, again, as I mentioned, we're doing a quick Instagram trivia giveaway. And the winner for the first prize, which is the signed Joel Anthony Miami Heat jersey, goes to, and the correct answer was how many FIBA tournaments has Canada participated in? The correct answer was 13, and the winner is at MMM Harris. At MMM Harris. Is that